Alright, in this lesson we will learn how to use object markers to move objects in our 3D worlds towards those object markers and orient themselves to those object markers. So here we have an animation where I've got a snowboarder, a couple of penguins, and I've already got some object markers there. I'm going to get the snowboarder to go around the penguins. When the snowboarder goes around the penguin spins around. The snowboarder ends up in that final position. So how do we do this? First thing, let's go to the scene setup and take a look. We have our snowboarder. The snowboarder has set the vehicle to the snowboard so that when the snowboard moves, the rider goes with the snowboard. I've got two object markers here. Let's explore those object markers, and what I want to do is take a look at it from above. Move over towards that snowboarder. These object markers have orientations. You'll notice there's a red arrow, blue arrow, and then a white. The snowboarder has an orientation as well, the snowboard itself. If I click on that snowboard and move it a little bit, using the default there, move the snowboard just slightly, and you can see that there's a red, a blue, and a white. So the orientation of the snowboard differs from the orientation of my first marker, which is over here. The red has moved slightly. You see that again. The red will change direction slightly. So too will the blue and the white. What I'm going to do is move the snowboard and orient it to this first marker. So we'll go to the code editor. Currently I have a delay of 0.5 seconds, and then I set my vehicle so that the snowboarder moves with the snowboard. I'm going to grab the snowboard here and select move and orient to that first marker, which is called thing marker 1. When we see the animation now, snowboard moves and it's adjusted slightly to that first marker. Let's get it to now move to the second marker. So we'll get him to move and orient to thing marker 2. Snowboard moves and orients and moves towards the second marker. To add a marker, let's go back to the scene setup. So the first marker is there, second marker is here, and you'll see that the snowboarder turned and oriented himself to that second marker. What I want to do is, in the scene view, I'm going to select this penguin. When I've got him selected, I'm going to add an object marker. So going to the object markers, I select add an object marker. It puts an object marker, which right now by default is called thing marker 3. I'm going to click OK, and you'll notice that it gets placed at that penguin and in the same orientation as the penguin. Now when I looked at the above view and go over to my snowboarder, making sure that I've got the default selected, good. Now when I click on that and move slightly the snowboard, the red arrow is the arrow for the front side of this snowboard. I want the snowboard to move in that direction. So moving down to that third marker, which is currently on the penguin, I'm going to move that marker away, place it maybe over here, because I want that snowboard to move in this direction. And the red marker is off to the side here. That would be the front of the snowboard. If I turn him using rotation, let's turn this marker. Right now the red is pointing in this direction. Let's see what that does with the animation. Snowboard moves around, and then, oh, we don't have an animation yet. Let's go back to our code editor. Adding movement for the snowboard to move and orient to the third marker. When we view our animation, snowboarder gets all disoriented when he moves that marker because of the red arrow, orientation. So we'll go back to the scene setup. Let's move this marker so that the red is pointing in the correct direction. And now let's run our animation. So that's how we use our markers to move objects to the correct position and orientation.